Hello and welcome back. I am Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports in Westfield, Indiana, and you are watching Marksman TV. Today I have another tabletop review and comparison for you. We will be taking a look at the new Ruger LCP II in 22LR and the original LCP II in 380. We are going to start off with a spec-by-spec comparison of the two and then move through the different features of each. So if you are looking for your next concealed carry pocket, either 22 or 380, you might have a better idea of which one might serve your needs better. Anyway, if that all sounds interesting to you, please stick around. What's coming up now. Okay, so I'm going to start off with an unboxing. Now, both of these come packaged the exact same way, so I'm just going to show you on the 22 version what it comes with. It is exactly the same on the 380. So you do get your warranty instruction information and all of that. The firearm is here in this plastic bag. Let's remove that chamber flag. Get that out of there. We are clear. Now, it does come with one magazine, a little pocket holster, which will fit either, and a gun safety lock. Now, the 22 version does come with a little speed loader. The 380 does not, but other than that, the packaging is identical. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the specs of both of them. So, starting over here on the 22 version, it does have a barrel length of 2 3/4 inches. On the 380, it is exactly the same. The length of the 22 is 5.2 inches. The length over here is just a hair shorter at 5.17, but exactly the same for all intents and purposes. Now, the height on the 22 version is 4 inches tall, and the height over here is 3.71 inches. The difference being on the magazine, it is a little bit extended here on the 22 version. We'll get into that in just a minute. Now, the magazine capacity on the 22 version is 10 rounds. The capacity on the 380 version is 6 rounds. Ruger calls this some sort of extended magazine that they have patent pending. I don't know what's going on there since extended mags have been out for a long time, but maybe that's in the 22 configuration. I'm not too sure. But the magazine does extend a little bit further than the magazine on the 380. Now, on the 380 version, you can get an extended mag from the factory for this. I actually have one right here to show you. You can buy it actually this way with this magazine, but I personally, for a pocket gun, prefer this mag. This one is extended, I believe +1 or +2 rounds. I'll roll that in there for you. Now, on these little pocket pistols, I like to do the dollar bill test, which is where I line up the top of the slide with the top of the dollar bill and line up the back of the frame with the dollar bill. Of course, your reference, this is a little bit of an angle, so it might not look like that, but I'll hold it here for you. So you can snag a dollar bill out of your wallet and follow along. I get an idea for the size reference. Going from the back to about the beginning of the one there, trigger guard matches almost with the bottom, maybe about ½ an inch from the bottom of the dollar bill. And the grip with the extended mag extends down about 2 to 3 inches below the bottom of the dollar bill. This is the 22, and this is the 380. You're going to notice size-wise about exactly the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at their weights. We'll go ahead and start here with the 380 with an inserted empty magazine. We are at 10.7 ounces, 10.8 ounces. And for the 22, 10.9 ounces. I mean, so virtually identical, which is about what you would expect. There's that, as you can see, 10.9 ounces. Okay, now moving into the slide, starting here with the 380 version. This is an alloy steel, which is blued. You are going to notice front and rear slide serrations, which are cut at an angle. The front one's there if you want to do any type of press checking. Now, up at the top, you do have your sights, which are integral into the slide in sort of a 3-dot configuration, but they are blacked out. There is no type of dot markings or anything like that. Of course, not windage or elevation adjustable. These little pocket guns are meant to be up close and personal, kind of a backup gun, get out of a really close and dangerous situation type of gun. So that's about what you would expect. The profile on them is very low. On this side here, you're going to have your roll markings, place of origin, and then here are the LCP II roll markings as well. Now, here on the 22 version, the slide is very much the same. It is an alloy steel version with, again, rear and front slide serrations cut at about the same angle. Now, one thing that they did add are 2 additional grooves here, these little cocking wings here at the back that you can grip onto, making cocking the firearm a little bit easier. You're going to notice your model markings here, and there is no place of origin markings on this side, but that's just kind of an insignificant little detail. The extractor on this side, on both of the firearms, but on the 22, it is noticeably longer. Doesn't really make much of a difference. Now, the sights, again, integral into the slide, exactly the same. You do have no type of windage or elevation adjustments, and they are blacked out just like they are on the 380. So let's go ahead and take a look at the trigger pull weight, starting here with the 380. 5 pounds 10 ounces. And with the 22, 5 pounds 6 ounces. So we are at about the same trigger pull weight. Again, there's going to be a little bit of a margin on error on these readings as you do pull, you know, as the user. You might pull a little bit harder on one and less on the other. But okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the trigger, starting here with the 380. Now you're going to notice it is polymer in construction with a little trigger safety there. You have to pull that through in order to discharge the firearm. Now this is a single action only pistol, so you're going to notice the hammer is staged in the downward position, and when you pull the trigger, it's going to drop the hammer just like that. It'll go into recoil. Sorry, we're going to go in and out of focus here a little bit. And you're going to notice that that is staged down there again. Now going ahead and taking a look at the pull, you're going to have a little bit of take up here. And when you get down to about that sort of 50% of your travel, you're going to hit that wall. Go ahead and push through. Again, you're at about 5.5 to 6 pounds. Right there into a clean break. Now the reset. Start to let off. Right there to about that initial wall point is where you're going to reset to, so a rather long reset. Pull through again into a break. Show that one more time. Reset. Right there. Okay, so by comparison, the 22 version is going to be very similar. It is a polymer construction with a little trigger safety there. It will travel about the same distance to about that 50% point until you hit that wall, into a clean break. It is a little bit softer, a little bit more crisp break in my opinion than on the 380. Now you're going to also notice that in this one I do have the magazine inserted because there is a magazine disconnect, unlike on the 380, so that is another safety feature there. For those of you who don't know, that basically means the mag has to be in the firearm or you cannot pull through on the trigger. The 380 version does not have that feature. Both of them do have the trigger safety. This one also has a manual thumb safety, which I'll show you when we get to the frame. But from there I'm going to go ahead and let off. Right there into the reset at about the 50% point. Again, right there into a nice clean break. Again, this is a single action only, just like the 380 version, so they are about the same in that regard. So let's take a look at the disassembly here, starting with the 380. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the mag and check that we are clear, and we are. So there's a little cross pin, takedown pin right here. You're going to go ahead and leave the firearm with the slide in the forward position. Now you are going to need the use of a tool at least to start with. As these break in, you should be able to pluck these out with your fingernail, or you could use the rim of a shell casing, but I'm just going to use a screwdriver here very carefully without marring up any of my finish. Just going to go ahead and assist that, pop it out just a little bit, go ahead and reach in and pull it out the rest of the way with my fingers. That will allow the slide to come off the frame. Pull out your single guide rod and spring, pull out your barrel, if I can get this here, and that is field stripped. Now the 22 version is going to be the exact same way. I drop my mag, check that we are clear, and I am. Again, the little cross pin here, I'm going to use this screwdriver to just sort of pop it out a little bit for me. Go ahead and pull that out the rest of the way. You have a single guide rod and spring again, barrel. So it's the exact same process, and that is field stripped. Now bringing in the frames for comparison, this is the 380 version and it is virtually identical to the 22, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But it is a polymer frame with a very nice large trigger guard, so good for winter carry. You can get sort of a light pair of gloves in there. Nice, relatively good, aggressive, very light, like a light grit sandpaper stippling here on the firearm. There is no finger grooves here on the front, which is indicative normally of a concealed carry pocket pistol. Now, your internal components are steel, and you have a full set of guide rails that run virtually the entire sort of mid-length of the frame. So you have nice positive reinforcement there, and all of your other internal parts are the same. Here you're going to notice that hammer is staged in the downward position, single action position. Again, is going to be the same on both. Now the 380 version does not have a magazine disconnect or a thumb safety, you're going to notice, but what it does have is a magazine release, which is not reversible here, and it is metal. And then you're going to notice the slide release here. Now here's the 22 version. Again, it is identical in every single way, except there is a couple different features. There is a manual thumb safety here. If you see red, red means dead, that means we're off safe. So it slides forward and back rather than up and down, which is a little bit, it's not, you can't go in this motion. You kind of break your grip, which I don't necessarily like that way as much. I guess you can get behind it like this and push it forward. Just a little bit different to get used to. And again, we have that magazine disconnect as well as the trigger safety. So there are a lot of safety features on this one, but you're gonna notice other than that, I'm gonna bring in the 380 again. They are exactly the same frame. Now taking a look at the barrels, I have the 22 here and the 380 here. Now the 380 is an alloy metal with a blued finish, and the 22 is a stainless steel. Now both of these are a 6-groove 1 in 16 twist, and you can see the differences there. Of course, these are very different rounds. Nice feed ramps on both. Sort of the beveled sort of bell of the front. Stylistically just a little bit different. So a couple quick takeaways now. Let's start off with the price point. Both of these are going to retail in about the $280 to about the $320 range, depending on where you find it, but the retail on both is pretty much the same. Size, weight, everything about them, the way they carry, the way they handle, the trigger pull is virtually the same. Now the one big obvious difference is the 22 is a lot easier to rack than the 380. Of course, we have a capacity difference of about 6 rounds versus 10, and the caliber difference 22 versus 380. A lot of people will argue that the 380 is not that viable of a defensive caliber, but that is of course open for debate. You know, any firearm is better than having nothing. Now, a lot of people, you know, especially what we see in our women, not being sexist or anything, but women having difficulty racking the slide on something like this, and it is a pretty stout slide, or people with arthritis or anything like that. This is really easy to manipulate. We've seen this sort of thing in the Easy Shield, the 380 Easy. So for somebody that does have kind of trouble with racking a more stout slide, this is definitely a better option. You have those grooves there which are easier to grip onto, so a very usable platform, a usable firearm, and reliability reports on these so far, what we've seen, have been really good. So I wouldn't worry too much as long as you keep it clean. Of course, 22s, a lot smaller components in there to have to worry about, so keep them clean, kind of reduce the risk of that grit and grind building up and causing friction on the slide. It is a semi-auto, so it is dependent on the power of that round to actuate the slide. Of course, it's going to be a little bit of a higher risk on a smaller caliber like a 22 to actuate that for reliability, but again, better than having nothing. So still a viable defensive carry option in my opinion. Also, if you carry a 380, it is a good option since it is virtually the same in the sort of the manner of the controls and everything. You can train on something on very light ammunition, inexpensive ammunition like 22. 380 is pretty pricey, where you can sort of translate over your training onto your 380 platform if you have both. So those are sort of the practicums of this in my opinion. Well, that is all the time I have for you today on these. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out this video. If you enjoyed, please let me know by hitting that like button, and if you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that bell notification button so you are aware when I am posting new content. Anyway, guys, I will leave you there. I am Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports in Westfield, Indiana. You are watching Marksman TV, and I will see you next time.